What's going on, everybody? It's Spark, and welcome to the penultimate episode of my MyTeam Career Mode series in 2021. We are at Saudi Arabia after what was a brilliant round of Brazil. If you haven't seen that episode, I'll leave a link in the comments and a card up above. Go and check it out. It's a fun odd little episode, and definitely a good result for us once you see the end of it. But one thing I have noticed as well, while that video is done quite well, quite a lot of you guys aren't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel. So guys, if you can, drop a like, leave a comment, and make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. I would love to hit 100 subscribers before the new game comes out at the very least. And if I do get to that milestone, then there may be a nice little new kind of video in the pipeline for you guys. So go on guys, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button as well. Every bit of support means the world to me, and thank you guys so much for the increased exposure on my videos. But looking at the standings now, it's time to put our last few races into context, because we are 7 points ahead of Valtteri Bottas and 15 ahead of Hamilton, and only just ahead of Ferrari in the Constructors. So we're really up against two teams in these last two races. We're up against Bottas and Hamilton for the Drivers' Championship, and really we're up against Leclerc and Sainz for the Constructors' World Championship. That puts us at a very, almost sounding like a pincer movement, I feel, because there's so much that we have to watch out for as we see a durability event that's happened in the department. So let's see what the skinny is here. Okay, so it's not like it's going to have much impact on anything, but we are, because I just love the ability to upgrade, we're going to go to get a discount on the MGU failure piece. It makes it seem quite interesting then, based on how I'm going to carry this series forward. So I think what I'm going to do is, based on where we finish, if I get third, then I may go for the low budget option, because it could say nice regulation change that could hit development of my car pretty hard. It could set us back to ground zero effectively. So once we got to practice, one thing I want to say, it's literally just one gate after another, and just looking at that, just the thing of so many different kind of checkpoints coming at you during this practice session is enough to give me Vietnam flashbacks as they're already happening, which is weird. It's kind of a weird thing to say out loud, but if you look here, the concentration you have to have is just immense. Which is why I think, at least Jeddah, I had my doubts of it coming onto the calendar, but it has made it pretty unique in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, plenty of resource points, but it's not like we're going to get the massive opportunity to use them. But plenty of discounts as well, but I do like running them through because I'm just that much a perfectionist on this game. Coulthard as well, doing well with the practice pieces as well. And then again, more discounts coming in for the MG UK failure analysis. I think they're only worth about 1,000 resource points. We're not going to get it on the car in time for Abu Dhabi. And we've also, as you would have seen beforehand, we also, the front wing upgrade failed, so we had to go back and restart that one. So we should be having a front wing upgrade very, very soon. But as we come now into qualifying session, this is a track full of straight lines. Well, when I say straight, there's a lot of power and low downforce actually needed to get the best lap time out of it, as well as six gear corners. So I'm very confident that we've got our car in the right place, and that we should be on for a good result when it comes to qualifying. So here we go then, into qualifying we are, and as we always know, qualifying 1 is pretty much a formality, but I did get this little inconvenience, as you're about to see on my flying lap. George Russell way in front of us, pretty much impeding our run, but it seems like he's opening the DRS, so he is actually on a hot lap himself, so it's not like they can penalise him for actually doing anything. We come across the line, it's safe enough for us to get through in any case, and same for Coulthard as well. So as you'll expect, the usual victims go out of the qualifying session, so that'll be the Williams, Hasses and the Alfa Romeos. But once we got round to the second session, I try staying a lap on the medium tyre, going a little bit wide there, has to be said on my part, but sadly, obviously Sergio Perez does the fastest time of 25.9, so for us, it's kind of within our ballpark. I felt like on the slab as we go down to the final corner here, this is such a tricky one, because it really does punish you for putting the power on too early, and you have to make sure the diffs of your car are aligned just as well. Max Verstappen goes to 25.7, we do 25.8, so just under a tenth slower than Max, so it wasn't too bad of an opening lap. Once I got near to the end of the session, I got round to being about P7 on the medium tyre, so it didn't feel safe. I had to go back out and do another lap on the soft compound tyre, which is what you're seeing right now. As the first few corners go pretty well for us, I think keeping them within third really is the best compromise, as long as you get your line right in the first chicane. And thankfully, with the way this track is designed, unlike the real life in Formula 1, you can run over the curves, because in real life they are a little bit punishing. So then again, this did come out before the real life race at Saudi Arabia, so I'm not going to give Cody's too much schlock for that. We set the fastest first sector, but we set an okay second sector. And as you see, we're just on the cusp of being eliminated with only just Coulthard ahead of us. So we are going to go down into third, just in case Alonso sets a good time. We're going to go all the way down to the line, and hopefully this should be more than comfortable enough to get us through. And we do a 25.5, far from the fastest session that we've ever had, but more than enough to get us through into the next qualifying session. We're about nearly a second down from Sergio Perez. So now I got a little bit of doubt in my mind over whether I'll be able to get pole position here. But once we got round into qualifying 3, I do set one banker lap on used tyres and to come down to the final straight, and our final time was actually faster than our Q2 time on scrub tyres, so that's a very strong lap, I think, for us. And the gap between myself and Max Verstappen, the current pole sitter, is 0.275 seconds, so very, very close in it between myself and Max. We're going to add a little bit more fuel as well, and also drove all the way down to the end of the qualifying session, so the track is rubbered in at most. We take a very wide line so we can get the best exit out of the final corner, and here we go then. This is our attempt, probably our best attempt before the end of the season to get our first ever pole position in F1 2021 MyTeam career mode, as the entry of the corner wasn't too bad. I think we made up quite a lot of time in that chicane alone, and made up about a 10th there. Down to the next sequence of corners, nice line there, down to 4th to make sure we can get the turn in that we need. And now we just got to get the line right throughout these fast sweeping corners, and it looks like we have done it. We go a little bit wide, but we get away with it. And we're about 3/10 up, and we set the fastest first sector, a 10th ahead of Max Verstappen, as we come round the long sweeping on-camber left-hander. And this is a brilliant camera angle. I love looking at this every single time I drive this track or watch a replay of it. As we come down to the next corner, down to 5th, and up into 6th now, and to make sure we get the best acceleration up until the end of the second sector. And this is really where we are. We keep Max Verstappen goes ahead, goes fastest improves on his time by about a 10th or 2 to come down to the left-hander, drop down to 6th. Line was quite good there as well. Run a little bit wide, but again we get away with it. As we come down into the final corner, DRS zone has been activated, and here we go. This is so close for us now. We're about 5/10 up compared to Verstappen's time. We are up, but to go down to the final corner, and exit was just good enough. As you come down to the start-finish straight, the DRS zone wide open. We go up to the line. It's a pole position for us.
Fantastic. You've got pole.
Yes, we have done it, and that is kind of a watershed moment, I think, for me. I've never had pole position. Now, I know the AI is only at 100, and we have got a pretty fast car, but I'm so happy that I'm thrilled to be bowing out of the career mode series that I've done here with at least one pole position. And with that, we have absolutely trounced our rival, Daniel Ricciardo. We're not going to get round to completing this rivalry by the time the season's over, though, so we've got 2 races remaining. We've only got 1 after this, which is Abu Dhabi. But look at that. We have done it. Pole position for the first time. And that, given the championship where we are, I mean, against both McLaren drivers and Ferrari,
we should be in with a good chance in the race.
You think you can call that as... It's our first pole position, and you think you can call that a successful session? You're fired after Abu Dhabi. You are so fired. And to be fair, there's nothing you can do about it, because it's already announced that Mark Priestley is taking your place. So you will not be missed at all, Jeff. Anyways, on to the race.
So here we are then, welcoming you today to one of the jewels of the Arab world, Jeddah. One of the biggest cities in Saudi Arabia, second only to Riyadh, gateway to Mecca, and one of the biggest ports in the region. And now, host to the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. An interesting circuit this one, the newest on the Formula One calendar. And like most street circuits, it's sure to present the drivers with an interesting technical challenge. Some challenging turns for the drivers to negotiate as well. And at the same time, they're going to have to manage their tyres very carefully in this heat. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here today. But I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
But from the moment qualifying's over, you start to feel the adrenaline in your body build up and the buzz in your stomach as you anticipate the run down into turn one. It's all a bit like going into battle, and the unknown situation makes you nervous. Those pre-race nerves are a good thing. The day you don't have them means that you don't care anymore. And of course, you have to make sure that all the procedures are second nature to you so that they're not taking up too much of your capacity.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. It's the owner driver in pole position then, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Bottas, Lewis Hamilton and Sainz, Leclerc, Norris, Ricciardo and Pierre Gasly, David Coulthard, Stroll, George Russell and Giovinazzi, Raikkonen, Fernando Alonso, Nikita Mazepin and Sebastian Vettel. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Tsunoda, Ocon, Latifi, they've taken a grid penalty, and Mick Schumacher. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
An ideal situation for us then. It's only Max Verstappen who's actually starting on the medians behind us, so just be wary to watch out for him near the end of this race. It's going to be a one-stop strategy. Usually you can get off the tyres at about lap 10, but the tyre wear on this car is pretty good, so I'm not too worried about that if we have to deviate in any way. We're going to add a little bit more front wing. With us, we have got about 17 points ahead of Ferrari in the Constructors, 7 ahead of Bottas, and about 15 ahead of Hamilton in the Drivers. What can we do to salvage our season? And we are underway in Saudi Arabia, and it's a pretty decent start for us. A little bit of wheel spin, but we get round into the first corner. We absolutely chop off Max Verstappen. Say, no way you're coming through there. Calm down, son. Why are you so angry? And that's a brilliant start for us that already gets us the start that we need. And Sergio Perez is actually ahead of Max Verstappen. So it's not an ideal situation for us because it's going to be me and Perez really until the first round of pit stops. I was hoping Verstappen could stay ahead and hold up the rest of the field while I sprint away, because on this track it is so hard when DRS is activated to actually get away from the other car, unless there's like a tyre difference, because this track is very you need a lot of top speed for it, and the effect of DRS here is so powerful. You've got 3 different DRS zones as well, so it is going to be very, very hard to shake off a car once they're in their DRS zone. We just got to hope really for a mistake, but as for us, we've done exactly what we need to do, at least for the first round. DRS isn't activated until lap 3, so hopefully by about that time I can pull out the gap that I need to pull out on Sergio Perez as we come round down to the final corner to complete the first lap. It's all things out, and Bottas is in 4th, so we are going to make up quite a lot on him in terms of the championship. Hamilton at this point will pretty much be out of contention with us, but going back to the Ferrari, just want to show what happened here, because Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari actually tipped the Mercedes of Valtteri Bottas, and with that Ferrari, as you'll see when you come onto the screen, I think he's actually picked up some front wing damage, and that is really going to help us in terms of the championship as well, because as you remember, we're about 17 points ahead of Ferrari, so we need to secure P3, and we are in the best place to do it when leading the race. It's 25 points for a win, and as you'll see, Sainz is now dropping down the pack as Hamilton now gets ahead of him. He's holding up his teammate Charles Leclerc, and before you know it, the 2 McLarens will be past him as well. So that is how bad the slightest scrape on the front wing can actually do to your car. So with that, I highly suspect we will see Carlos Sainz into the pits just before the end of this lap, because he is dropping like a stone at the moment, as Pierre Gasly now tries to go ahead of him, and Daniel Ricciardo, won't be long before Ricciardo follows suit as well. And let's see what Sainz does. Yes, he comes into the pits, and that crucially drops one Ferrari out of the points and brings me closer to that third place in the Constructors' Championship, as we see Max Verstappen versus Valtteri Bottas. Verstappen is struggling on that medium set of tyres, but brutally defends against Valtteri Bottas into the final corner. But the Finn has got a brilliant run coming out of the last corner. With DRS activated, surely he should be getting ahead of the Red Bull now. He goes round to the outside, and this changes everything for the championship. It's only about 7 points different between myself and Valtteri, and the Mercedes just about gets in front. Verstappen fights him all the way, but Valtteri has well and truly got him covered. As we come down onto lap 4, as you'll see, 7 tenths behind have not been able to clear Perez from the DRS, and you'll see visually on the screen just how much he's able to close up. I mean, this track is so powerful in terms of DRS, and ironically, we're up against the Minister of Defence, who's very much going on the attack at the moment. And with those tyres as well, Perez is very, very good at tyre management as well. So hopefully we can shake him off quite quickly. As we see behind, Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton are fighting between them. I think for this one it's quite mixed results, because I think with Hamilton, I need him more out of the situation. I don't have to worry about him. But with Leclerc, I can deal with one Ferrari being out of the points. So this overtake I probably didn't want to happen. So Hamilton goes into P5 by about lap 6. And for us, this is where we really need to start defending, because as you'll see on the screen, Checo is about 5 tenths behind us, only coming out to the first of the final 2 DRS zones, and we're going to have a hard time defending on this one, I think. Here he comes, as you'll see on your screen right now. He is so close, but again, like just how Max Verstappen did to Valtteri Bottas, we defend very, very harshly against Sergio Perez. But at this point, we have to floor everything, overtake everything, just to make sure that Perez doesn't get the room to overtake us. We go to cover the inside. Checo goes round to the outside, and we are going to... Oh, and just like that, we chop him off brutally in that corner, and that really affects Perez's traction coming out of that corner. Absolute brutal defense from us, but we had to do it. Otherwise, Perez would be getting away from us, and we would have a very... That would have affected our stance in the championship, much so. The difference between points 25 and 18 is massive. Okay, so I could not afford to lose the position to Sergio Perez at all, even if it means pushing the limits in terms of what you can and can't do in terms of defending a position. It's going down to lap 8. We got some retirements now, as we see Lance Stroll retiring from the race. And let's go on board just to see what happened. It looks like he's slowing down. Oh, a little bit of smoke coming out of his car, and the AlphaTauri nearly goes into the back of him. Nearly Yuki Tsunoda goes into the back, and there we have Lance pulling off to unfortunately salvage his season. But crucially, Lewis Hamilton is retiring from this race, and that is brilliant for us. That eliminates Hamilton from our little championship battle. It's just Bottas I need to worry about from the Mercedes. This is brilliant stuff for me, as the Mercedes is crawling to a halt, retiring in the first corner, and that is an absolute godsend for us for the World Championship. So all we have to do is hold off Sergio Perez, and hopefully we can deal a massive blow to both McLaren and Ferrari in both fronts. And Sergio Perez comes into the pit lane on lap 10, well now lap 11, to change onto the medium compound tyres. And this could be quite bad for us, because the undercut, I think, is quite powerful on this track, especially when there's a lot of high-speed corners like there are. And a fresh set of tyres, obviously, yeah, they're mediums and they're not softs, will surely bring Perez much closer to us at the end of his stint. But for us, as you see on the screen, the tyre temps are absolutely soaring, just like what happened in Brazil. So I'm not really able to get the most out of them. I think at this point I was kind of overdriving. You see on the screen as well, I think at the start of the lap, Perez was about 18.8, now he's 18.3, so I'm really wondering whether I'm going to be able to actually overcut him here or stay ahead. We're going to box this lap just to make sure that we're covering him, However, I think we've got to do that, all things considered. But with that, it's going to be hard to say whether we can actually get ahead of him. As we come down into the pit lane now, we take it very, very careful coming in. We hit the pit lane very, very early, so that is going to cost us a little bit of time. But I'm so wary of getting a penalty here because it is so close to fight between myself and Checo for the win. And I can't risk a penalty, especially when I've got this position in the championship to fight for as well. Let's have a good stop here, boys. Oh, 1.9! That is absolutely beautiful. As you see Perez coming out to the top of your screens there, we get out miles ahead of him. What that was, I want to say, I've got to hand it to the pit crew there. That was a brilliant stop from them. And ironically, against the team in real life Formula 1, who are the absolute aces at pit stops. So, absolutely brilliant stuff from my pit crew to get me out in time ahead of Sergio Perez, because I didn't do myself really any favours. Well done to the pit crew, and this from us. We just got to manage the expectations and stay. Now that we've got over a second on Perez, we've got to make sure it stays that way, just to make sure that he keeps out of our DRS. But I think the ones really to be wary for is Max Verstappen, who's on the alternate strategy. We make up 3 seconds within about a couple laps, just to show you how powerful the undercut really is, or just being on fresher tyres. But I got the sense that Max is going to be coming into the pit lane very, very quickly. And there we go, he does come into the pit lane. Now, with throwing on soft tyres, with the track rubbered in and less weight on the cars, I'm not really thinking that those softs are going to go out of life anytime soon. Verstappen is going to be absolutely mighty on those tyres. He's just got to pass a couple of cars. That will be Bottas and Perez, and they'll be coming for me near the end of the race. So we can't afford to really take it that easy, because Verstappen on softs is bloody quick. So I'm not hedging my bets on anything. So come down to lap 16, and this is kind of progress that Verstappen is making, and he crucially overtakes Valtteri Bottas with not even breaking a sweat into that corner. I mean, ignore the timing sheet because they are inaccurate. The problem is just when I get round to actually in the replay actually recording these videos, there's the timing screens absolutely jumble up, so it's quite hard to post. As you see, Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris going head to head against each other, and for the championship this is quite crucial for me. We got Lando on mediums and Charles Leclerc on hard, so I have to say Leclerc is fighting this one brilliantly given he's on the harder compounded tyre. But between himself and Lando Norris, very, very hard battle to judge. But ideally, I could do with that McLaren being ahead of the Ferrari just to help me in the championship. As by lap 17, we pulled out a hell of a comfortable margin on Sergio Perez. As Verstappen gets the fastest lap, it's come down to lap 17. We're going to see how our teammate is doing. Coulthard is stuck in 8th. So it's been kind of a bad session really for him, as he falls down to P9. He actually qualified in P10. So with me getting the car up there, I'm not quite sure what's going on with DC, but it seems quite similar to how his real life career was. We know Coulthard is fast. He's just never been that consistent, and it feels like the game's sort of imitating life in that way. But once we come on to the next lap, Coulthard gets himself into another brilliant battle with Gasly. Gasly's got the inside line, he's got the track advantage coming down into the next corner, but DC has crucially got the inside, but Gasly does not back out. He's actually ahead of Coulthard here. So brilliant defense from Gasly, but Coulthard has got to make this stick, and Gasly can't fight that one with the backhand, nearly steps out for my teammate. Well done to David for getting up into P8. That helps us in terms of the Constructors' Championship with Ferrari having Carlos Sainz out of the points. So hopefully Coulthard can make some progress towards Ricciardo, but Ricciardo is so far ahead that I'm not really sure that whether that's actually going to happen. But for us, I mean, I'll be honest, the rest of the race for me was kind of a procession. So with this, I'm getting very, very close to 6.1 seconds ahead of Sergio Perez. So really, unless Max pulls out an absolute blinder in these next few laps, he's not going to catch me. So we've done more than enough, and I think as well as you see with the tyres, I'm doing a much better job of actually managing the tyre temps. So for us, this is going to be a very, very strong result for us, and surely a strong blow into the World Championship for our rivals. As we see Verstappen versus Perez on lap 23. I'm going to go on board. I'm going to stay on board with this one because this is a brilliant little battle that you're about to see here. We've got Perez unwilling to bow down against the faster car, which kind of what we saw in real life in Spain. But unlike real life in Spain, no calls of team orders for him to get out of the way, as we see Nikita Mazepin get in the way of other drivers. Once again, the life imitation in the game. As Verstappen goes round to the outside of the left-hander on the softer tyres as well. They're both side by side coming out of the final corner. And look at that. And it's coming down into the right-hander as well. Is Perez going to stick it out? Yes, he is. Yes, Perez is still fighting it. But this is crucial stuff for us. I mean, the Red Bulls are tripping over each other crucially. And that's pretty much going to secure the win for us, because they're going to lose so much time fighting each other that it's just not going to be feasible. And Verstappen gets round and makes the overtake stick around the outside, but he doesn't have DRS coming into the next corner. He chops off Perez, but Perez goes down to the inside in the final corner, and it looks like Perez is coming back at him. Yes, he has. Perez has come back ahead of Verstappen to take second place, but Verstappen has crucially got the DRS at the point where you really, really do need it. And honestly, I don't see how Perez is going to fight this one, given Verstappen is on softer tyres, and he's way ahead before they even get into the corner. So Sergio Perez loses out to Verstappen. And crucially for Verstappen as well, that will secure him the World Championship, as he's about 43 points ahead of Perez. I mean, not that he needed to finish higher than him anyway, but Verstappen is looking set to take the driver's crown. As for us, we come down into what's going to be the final lap, and I was just checking the car just to make sure that I thought I nearly tapped the front wing there, just coming out the exit on one of those corners. So I just make sure I'll go there. Thankfully, I don't have any damage, and the steering doesn't feel that weird. So thankfully for us, it's just going to be one nice little cruise left to the end. We're not going to do anything dangerous. We're just going to bring it home. And what has been a brilliant pole to flag win for us. So unfortunately, we're a couple of laps and a fastest lap away from a Grand Slam, which sadly I would love to have get, but sadly it's never going to happen with all the things I had to manage and all the strategies that other people were on. But for us, this is going to be round off what is a brilliant drive, and this is hands down, I think, one of my favourite circuits. Even though I was questioning it when they brought it onto the F1 calendar, I thought it wasn't needed and it wasn't really safe. But I'm driving very, very well around here. Then I think my league race as well for IRL, I ended up finishing in second the first time that we raced here. So go check that out on my Twitch channel if you haven't seen the old headlights yet. I think what I'll do for my league races, I may pop my league races onto my YouTube channel, just so it's accessible to my YouTube audience there. Because I know with Twitch they tend to go out. But we're getting carried away here as we come round the final set of corners for us. It's been a light to flag victory for us, and with Leclerc in P5 only and Bottas in P4, I think that's going to just... Well, we're going to have one hand on third in both championships either way, given the points difference. And for us, we are going to come across the line to take a brilliant win, our second in a row, and I think our 6th of the season.
That's a race win and your second race win in a row. Fantastic job.
And with that, another year of Formula One draws to a close, and the new World Drivers' Champion is declared. Another entry added to that prestigious list of the sport's most incredible drivers. And with that, we wrap up yet another incredible Grand Prix weekend. So, Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
I really feel the track layout combined with the track temperatures we saw today suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well. They just look so comfortable out there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
A show-stopping performance from the three drivers approaching the podium right now. It's been an interesting Grand Prix, that's for sure.
Yes, well, congratulations to Max Verstappen to take the World Championship away from Valtteri Bottas. And for us, very dominant result. It was a bit of a procession, I have to admit, so sorry if it wasn't as interesting on my side. But on the bright side, I think we got plenty of stuff there, plenty of battles to be had. And then we have the Drivers' Championship. Hamilton is out of the running for P3. We are 20 points ahead of Valtteri Bottas, so all we need is 6th place. We need is 7th place. And ahead of the Ferraris, we are 36 points. So again, we'll need... we need 6th on that front. Well, I think we need a 6th place finish in Abu Dhabi to make sure we finish 3rd in both championships.
Really seem to enjoy that. You made it look easy. You're surpassing all expectations. Can anything or anyone stop you? Do you think you were lucky not to end your race with that crash? Great. Well, that's everything.
6th place. That's all we need, 6th place. But even with the likelihood of Bottas more likely to win, Ferrari aren't likely to finish any higher than about 5th or 6th with all things reliability going well. So I really do fancy our chances. And I think for Abu Dhabi, the season finale of my career mode series, I am going to turn up the wick for this race. I am going to go 100% race to end this series. I'm also considering turning up the AI back to 105 as I had it earlier on in the season after Baku, just so we can make it a little bit more challenging. Abu Dhabi is a difficult track to drive in itself, so those two things I'm definitely going to do. And thanks to Owen, he gave me the brilliant idea of potentially streaming the final session. He gave me the idea of potentially streaming the last race on my Twitch channel at some point next week. So do let me know in the comments section if that's something that you want me to do, instead of doing a sort of like a highlights sort of reel on F1. But with all things considered, it was a very strong race for us, and that puts us right into the real thick of things coming into the final stretch of our series. But let me know, obviously, what you want to do as well. So there you have it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this episode. If you liked it, then do leave a like, leave a comment on what you thought as well, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. Again, every little bit of support really helps me out. I really do enjoy making all of this content for you guys, and I would love to get to 100 by the time the next game comes out. So every little bit of support I get will really make a difference to me, guys. Thank you guys so much. With that, guys, I want to say thank you guys so much. I've been Spark, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.